This is developing as we come on the air tonight. At any moment, a federal judge in Boston could order the Trump administration to tap into billions of dollars in a savings account to help cover November SNAP benefits. Oregon and Washington joined several other states and sued the federal government. We're on your side, working to determine what the judge's decision could mean for people right here in the Pacific Northwest. Thanks for joining us today for K2 News at 4. I'm Ray Casway. 1 in 6 Oregonians is on SNAP. The state is suing the feds, arguing the USDA is violating federal law by suspending payments. The White House says the Department of Agriculture does not have the power to use its contingency fund in this case. They say it needs to be used for emergencies like natural disasters. The judge in Boston said this is an emergency. House Speaker Mike Johnson agrees with President Trump. Democrats are not buying the argument.
The simplest way to end the pain and the simplest way to make this stop is for the Democrats to do the obvious and right thing and vote for the nonpartisan funding measure so that we can turn everything back on.
And that's what really surprises me, is the level of cruelty that is marking Republican leadership right now, that they would put children and families at risk during this fight.
Using contingency funds is not a perfect solution. The emergency fund has $5.3 billion in it. Normal benefits are about $9 billion a month nationwide. Democrats say the government could also use a separate $23 billion fund to keep those benefits moving. K2's on your side, breaking down how a ruling could play out and how both elected officials and regular people are working to keep people fed. First, let's get to K2's Vasily Varlamos for us live in Salem. Vasily, if the judge decides to grant this order, how soon could people in Oregon get their benefits?
Right, I've been trying to get an exact timeline all day to find out how soon benefits could be restored. Now, the Oregon Department of Human Services told me that if full federal funding is restored, the agency will begin issuing SNAP benefits as soon as possible. However, if only partial federal funding is restored, ODHS will need detailed guidance from the USDA before issuing any benefits. ODHS also says since many states use the same EBT vendor for electronic food dollars, there will be a national queue for processing, and Oregon's files may need to be sent to groups to avoid delays. People who normally receive SNAP benefits later in the month may get their benefits sooner than others as files are processed.
Vasily, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek has directed $5 million to the state's food bank network. Why is that money being given to food banks instead of right into people's SNAP accounts?
Right, ODHS says Oregon and most states do not have a way to load state funds onto EBT cards. They say it requires special permission from the federal government in addition to IT changes that take time to build. So instead, they're giving money to food banks so that families can get food quickly while federal SNAP funding is on hold. Now, we have links to where you can find emergency food resources in your community on our website, KATU.com. You can also call 211 for more information. Live in Salem, Vasily Varlamos, K2 News.
Vasily, thank you for that. We also reached out to the governor's office about this decision. Her office sent us a statement today saying, in part, quote, Governor Kotek is doing whatever's possible with her authority right now in Oregon, but there are simply not enough dollars in the state to backfill every SNAP dollar. We also asked if there's a plan for if and when that emergency funding runs out. Her team directed us to the Oregon Food Bank. They say they're grateful for the governor's leadership and that they're doing what they can to move food where it's needed most. They said their work will not be enough. No food bank can replace SNAP, they said. For every meal we provide, SNAP provides 9. The decision to withhold these benefits will deepen hunger in every corner of our state. Tonight, some community organizations say they're already facing an increase in need. Blanchet House says it recently has been experiencing the longest meal lines it's seen in years. It's unclear if there's one reason why. The executive director says local food providers are now bracing for a surge in demand. He says the demand will not discourage the nonprofit from continuing to serve Oregonians.
We are going to go forward no matter what. I mean, I don't know if it's just stubbornness or blind courage, or, I mean, we did this in the pandemic. We served dinner in our cafe on Monday night, and Tuesday morning we served breakfast to go because everything was shut down. We barely had a plan, but we knew people were going to need to eat.
Blanchet House says it's already served 30,000 more meals this year over last year and 60,000 more meals than just 2 years ago. One local mom is making sure all families are able to put food on the table. Some parents may not have many options when SNAP benefits run out over the weekend. Our team coverage continues now with K2 Shelby Slaughter, live for us in Vancouver. Shelby has been on your side speaking with parents in both Portland and Vancouver about how they're preparing for trick-or-treaters. And Shelby, several parents have told you they plan to give out more than just candy.
Yeah, right. And that's in both Vancouver and in Portland. I've seen parents putting out things like mac and cheese and top ramen, all to make sure kids don't go hungry.
We're less than a day away from seeing trick-or-treaters on the streets. But this Halloween, some parents aren't thinking about full-size candy bars. They're hoping to make sure there's food on the table when the candy runs out.
Food insecurity is a pressing issue.
Sarah Weber Ogden said it best herself.
I'm a mom with a mission.
Hundreds of thousands of people could lose their SNAP benefits this weekend, impacting families ahead of the holiday season. Weber Ogden tells me her family has a plan to help parents who don't know where or how they'll feed their kids.
We're going to be knocking on a ton of doors in this town anyway. What could be more Portland than a bunch of kids in costumes, canvassing to fundraise for our local food bank so we can support kids in our communities.
They're handing out flyers like this, linking people to services where they can donate. Weber Ogden says the goal is to raise as much money as their family can for local food banks, or even inspire people to start ones themselves.
And I spoke with one mom coming up at 5 who is putting out more than just candy on Halloween. She's giving out actual food. Why she hopes one meal will make all the difference. Reporting live in Vancouver, I'm Shelby Slaughter, K2 News.
Shelby, see you at 5. Thanks for that. Restaurants across our community are also stepping up to help feed families in need. K2 has confirmed free meals at more than a dozen local restaurants and eateries. This is a look at the growing list on our website right now. Our crews are continuing to add to it as more businesses put plans together. Whether you're in need of help or looking to help, we have links to relevant organizations and information about community support efforts across our area. You can find all that anytime on our website, k2.com.